Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship. Warning, censorship.
We're in the movies, man. We're in a school bus, and there's narcos coming up. Yeah. We're just with Rebel News. My name's David Menzies, and we're just going to see if we could get a room for the night.
No, sorry.
No?
No, whole place is closed.
Why is it closed?
It's closed for construction.
Closed for construction? I see people in the windows.
Okay. I don't know what to tell you. That's what it is.
They told you guys that this place was under construction?
That's right.
Oh my. Wow. That's a new piece of information that just sent chills through my body. Why are they telling people that that's a place under construction? That's pretty scary.
Why the lack of transparency in terms of what this facility really is?
Because they don't want the masses to know that they're literally taking people, throwing them in a little, basically a prison cell. When you're in that hotel room, your window does not open. You are not allowed to leave your room for any reason. They open your door only 5 times a day. 3 times to bring you food, which is a meal from the Red Cross delivered in a U-Haul truck, and then another 2 times so they could point something at your forehead like a gun and take your temperature. Other than that, you're not allowed any access to the outside world, no exercise. It's literally the exact same as a prisoner getting solitary confinement.
Well, this is very interesting, folks. On the south side of the property, there is a temporary entrance that is set up. You can see there, they've got some, I guess, device. I presume it's pumping in air to inflate the tent, but it seems that this is a quarantine facility. We saw somebody that came by that had inside knowledge of the property, and he said there are some people here wearing full-on hazmat suits. Maybe it's just being more cautious than they have to be, or maybe it's something else. Hi, sir.
Hello.
How you doing there? We're just with Rebel News. My name's David Menzies, and we're just going to see if we could get a room for the night.
No, sorry.
No?
No, whole place is closed.
Who are you, by the way?
I'm a security manager here, Jamie.
Oh, okay. Jamie, so why is it closed?
It's closed for construction.
Closed for construction? I see people in the windows.
Okay.
I don't see any construction workers, and I don't see any heavy equipment. They're not being transparent as to what exactly is going on here. Well, it's closed.
The hotel's closed.
Oh, why is the hotel closed, ma'am?
It's closed.
It's closed. It looks open.
You guys are trespassing. I'll have you step off the property.
Oh, okay. So do you have some identification, by the way?
No, you're trespassing. I'll have you step off the property, please.
Okay, then. So you're just somebody called Jamie, and
Sir,
that woman.
You that you're trespassing. Please step off.
Okay, we're leaving. Just there's a woman in the window. That's a construction worker. That doesn't look like a construction worker. How are you? Ma'am, these don't look like construction workers to me. So we're being told by somebody called Jamie with no identification that we're trespassing on the property and we're leaving. He said it's under construction, but I see people in the rooms and they're not wearing hard hats. Do you think we're being told the truth? Is it true that this hotel's under construction? No. Well, knock me down with a feather. It's Paladin Security. You might recall Paladin Security from one of our previous capers, folks. Remember going to the Brampton hockey rink? They work as Mayor Patrick Brown's Praetorian Guard. Here, check it out. Holy mackerel, I think I see Patrick Brown himself. David Menzies with Rebel News.
You're in a city facility?
Yeah, so are you.
Yeah.
So, are you playing hockey here, or?
No, I'm just coming to check in our facility. You're not supposed to be here, actually.
Are these taxpayer dollars being used for your buddies to play hockey on this rink? Why is it one law for me and one law for thee in this city? Mr. Brown?
So when they ask you to leave, they're acting as agents for the building, right?
Why don't you phone bylaw? You're the professional snitches for bylaw. We've covered that already.
You're trespassing from all city facilities and operation centers for the next year.
Officer, is this correct that we're being told we can't come to Brampton recreation facilities for the next year? By the way, don't confuse this Radisson here, just off of Dixon Road, as the other Radisson we went to in the east end of Toronto. This is the west end Radisson. The east end Radisson is completely booked with refugees. Do you remember our visit there? Would you like to come on camera?
No, I would not. I would like you off
okay.
our property right now. I'd like you to stop taking my picture.
Hey, excuse me.
Take the pic. Take your
Hey. Don't
get your rebel crap news out of here right now.
Why is it rebel crap news, sir?
Get out off our property. I'll call the police.
That was the delightful David Strong. He's a real hospitality whiz, as you can see how he treated myself and my cameraman at the time, Efron. Evidently, this is some kind of internment camp, for lack of a better term. We were tipped off by Chris Sky that people that are arriving into Canada that haven't been tested or won't take the test are being quarantined here. And we can see faces in the window, which Jamie, if that's his real name, told us we're construction workers and that the hotel is under construction. What I find amazing is that you just can't get a straight answer. If this is indeed a taxpayer-funded property that is serving as an internment camp, then why won't they tell us that's what it is? It's our money funding this.
Officially, they call them government quarantine facilities. What I call it is a prison for healthy people that they want to make as miserable as possible. So when they leave here, they tell everybody about how horrible their experience was, so nobody else wants to travel and leave the country. This is all because of the new draconian law that they created that went into effect January 7th that stated all Canadian citizens or all travelers coming to Canada require a COVID test before entering the country. This is 100% certified illegal. You cannot prevent Canadian citizens from coming home. You cannot mandate medical procedures. So they arranged this law in a way to coerce you to comply, because that's the only way they can get you to take this test. They physically can't force you, they legally can't force you. So what did they do? They said you can't get on your plane unless you get a COVID test, PCR COVID test negative within 3 days of your flight home. However, if you don't have one, as our friend Many Lights did not, because he was coming from Jamaica, and all the places that did testing in Jamaica were booked up until February. So he went to the airport, said, I tried to get a test, I couldn't get a test. So anyone can say this. Keep that in mind. They give you a form, and you have to sign a form that states that you promise, you're declaring that you're going to take the COVID test upon arriving in Pearson Airport. This, once again, is 100% illegal. They're basically putting a gun to your head and saying, either you agree to allow us to perform a medical procedure on you against your will, or we are not going to allow you back into your country as a Canadian citizen. 100% illegal. So as you sign that form, even if you sign your name, it won't hold up in court. And what I tell everybody to do is take the form, sign duress or sign Joe Blow, sign whatever you want besides your name. They're not going to look at it. They're not smart. And then you didn't sign anything. When you land in Canada, in Toronto, Pearson Airport, they're going to give you your standard COVID questions. Then they're going to tell you, now you have to take the test. And they bring up this thing, they want to stick it up your nose. And if you say no, they say, you have to spend your 14 days over here.
Now, that's really interesting, Chris, because before you arrived here, we tried to walk in. I mean, it looks open to the public, except for the presence of that security guard. Somebody saying he was with the property called Jamie, he wouldn't show me any identification, said that the hotel is closed because it is, quote, under construction. Oh, yeah. I see a lot of faces in the window. They don't look like construction workers. They're certainly not wearing hard hats. Why the lack of transparency in terms of what this facility really is?
Because they don't want the public to know that they're taking healthy people, telling them, this is exactly what they tell you at the airport. You take your COVID test now. If you take your COVID test like a good compliant sheep and they jam that thing up your nose and pierce your blood-brain barrier with God knows what, even when you test negative, they say you still have to quarantine for 14 days, just like you did before. So what's the point of taking the test? They just want you to submit to a test. Now, if you stand up for yourself and say, I don't want to take a test, they're going to put you in a place like this. Now, why would they lie to the public and say, oh, it's just under construction? Because they don't want the masses to know that they're literally taking people throwing them in basically a prison cell. When you're in that hotel room, your window does not open. You are not allowed to leave your room for any reason. They open your door only 5 times a day. 3 times to bring you food, which is a meal from the Red Cross delivered in a U-Haul truck, and then another 2 times so they could point something at your forehead like a gun and take your temperature. Other than that, you're not allowed any access to the outside world, no exercise. It's literally the exact same as a prisoner getting solitary confinement. But for me to do that, I'd probably have to shank someone in prison. So then we did a live, and I wanted everybody to see what was really going on there. So that's when I got the explanation of what their life was like in there. He's also a vegan, so they gave him a vegan meal, which consisted of 2 slices of bread, a little package of like a jam, and a GMO orange to make sure you stay healthy, everybody.
And Chris, that's an interesting thing. You're not allowed, if you're a guest of this facility, to order in your own food, are you?
Of course not. Your food can be contaminated.
No, but why? I mean,
that's what they say. They literally say your food can be contaminated. We don't know where it came from. So sorry, you're not going to have nutrition. I don't know about you.
Chris, I see the police arriving now. I don't know what we're doing that's illegal, but
they're probably just, they're probably just coming for my autograph or something. Once they have you here, you can leave whenever you want. They want you to think that you're a prisoner. They want you to think it's so scary and dangerous and that you're confined to this little room. But as you saw on the live, he packed his bags, him and his dad got up and they came out here, and I called them an Uber to pick them up and bring them home from this tyranny.
And when they got home, I understand there were 3 police cruisers waiting for them.
No, well, I told them that was going to happen. I told them they're going to come to your house to make sure, A, that you're on quarantine, because you're still supposed to be on quarantine, and then they're going to tell you, we're going to bring you back here, or we're going to fine you. The same options you had at the airport.
So, Chris, what's going on? Clearly, they're not being truthful when they tell us this hotel's under construction. I see no construction workers. I see no heavy equipment. And so are they telling to people or insinuating to people that you must remain here when, in fact, they have no legal right to detain you here?
Of course they are. Everything they're doing is about obtaining your consent illegally. They try to force you to take a test by threatening not to let you back in the country. Then once you're back in the country, they try to threaten you to not leave your house for 2 weeks so you can tell everybody how horrible it is and not to travel. Then on top of that, they want to put you in a place like this where they tell the public it doesn't even exist. Meanwhile, we have actual people in there. I know 2 other people that are in there right now, and they were too scared to leave because they give you this idea, this perception that you're in some kind of like military facility and you're literally a medical prisoner and you can't leave.
Chris, given what we have here, given what you personally witnessed and endured at Yonge Dundas Square last Saturday, does it sometimes feel to you that we're living in a police state, that this is less Toronto, maybe more North Korea?
It shows me that they're getting desperate and they're getting scared and they see that they're losing control. People are waking up to the lie. People are not worried about their safety anymore. People are worried about the fact that government's controlling every single aspect of their life, right down to closing their business and putting them in abject poverty. So that's more important to people right now than this so-called virus that They tell us our hospitals are overwhelmed. We have 400 COVID patients in ICU in Ontario. We have 389 hospitals. Now, I'm no mathematician, but an average of 1 patient per hospital doesn't seem overwhelming to me.
Well, folks, we were actually able to track down Dray. He also goes by the name Many Lights on Instagram. And he is the individual who, along with his father, returned to Canada from Jamaica and had to, deal with the ordeal of staying at that Radisson Hotel near the airport, albeit briefly. So, Dray, we were just out to the Radisson Hotel. We took a look around. Can you tell us what it was like staying at that Radisson Hotel, which apparently isn't really a Radisson Hotel anymore after all?
It's an odd experience. It's something that you see when you watch a movie. So straight from the airport, they tell you to get on the bus, and you don't know what type of bus. I was picturing like some kind of like maybe nice-ish bus. And when we got out the doors, you're staring at a couple school buses lined up waiting for people. So it's a yellow school bus. We get on the school bus, and it was just me and my dad at the time. And they packed up our stuff in the back and drove us straight to the Radisson. And when we got to the Radisson, there's an odd thing that happened too. When we pulled up to that same security guard that's outside, the bus driver did something like this. And the security guard did it back. It was like a signal, there's two. It was an odd experience to even witness that. So we go inside, and they drive us to the side of the building where there's this giant tent just mounted off the side of the building. Giant white tent. So we're waiting inside the bus. He says, wait a bit, because I guess they know we're coming. Maybe the security guard pages whoever is inside. And two people come out in full gear, like fully covered. Literally looks like a movie. I took a little clipping of that, and I was like, whoa, this is the movies. So we walk through the tent, and it's all white plastic. And we walk through a door, it's into another like tented kind of area, and it's everything's white. Like the floor is white, the sides of the building's white, and the top. And then we walk through a corridor, which would probably be the hotel before, but everything is plastered in white plastic. Like I'm telling you, like the ceiling is covered, the floor is covered, the walls are covered, everything's covered in white plastic. It was like, a scene straight out of a movie.
Wow, so typically, not your typical hotel kind of environment, I guess. And so you're led through this very white area, I guess, eventually to a room. And can you describe what the room was like, Dray?
Well, we didn't even get to the room first. First, they take us to a desk.
Okay.
Where there's another lady sitting there, and they question us first. And they want to take our temperature and point that gun-like thermometer at our foreheads. And then they start asking questions. Do you have any dietary restrictions? And I'm strict vegan. And I'm mostly a raw vegan, so I'm very specific with how I eat. And at the airport, before I even agreed going to this location, I asked them, I'll stay at your 14-day quarantine camp, but just with one condition, that I'm able to get my own food, because she had mentioned that you won't be able to get your own food.
And why was that? I'm just wondering what the ostensible policy reason was for that. I mean, you have the right to your own food. You're going to buy your own food. You're not looking for a handout. But they said, I think you told me off camera, Dray, that it was the Red Cross bringing in meals. Yes. And I understand the so-called vegan meal they brought in from you was a bit of a joke.
Yeah, it was, and you appreciate someone trying. They were all pleasant, I think we got some vegan meals for you here right now. Are you hungry? And so they said, do not open your door for any reason. Don't open your door. Don't go into the hallway.
And of course, one of the people you reached out to was Chris Sky, and he came up with a little caper where I guess he was going to break you out of the hotel and have a getaway car in the form of an Uber pick you and your father up, and you were able to leave. And I understand you were told not to leave, but they didn't have any kind of legal right. They didn't physically restrain you. You got into that Uber. You went back to your Toronto condo.
I got up in the morning and I was doing my research. My friend had texted me, Catherine, and she said, hey, are you back? Just because she knows I was coming back from Jamaica. And I said, yeah. And then I just gave her a call. And I said, hey, Catherine, and I told her the situation. I'm in this quarantine camp. And she started tripping out. She's like, what do you mean? And she said, that's not right. And I said, I know. I'm just trying to figure out my laws. Do you know anyone I could talk to? Any social media outlets that I could go on and talk to? And she named off Chris Sky, and she named off Rebel News. Oh. You too.
And I've heard of people breaking out of prison before, Dray, but I've never heard of people breaking out of a Radisson hotel. But we have to wrap this up, my friend. Can you just bring us up to date? I guess you and your father are now quarantining at your condo, because I mean, the original idea was for you to come back to the so-called scene of the crime, the Radisson, and I believe you got some legal advice saying that's not very prudent to do that. So is going forward, is this a matter of you waiting out the 14 days and I guess then you and your father are free men, but at least you get to wait out the quarantine period in the comfort of your own condo as opposed to that Radisson Hotel.
Yes, yeah, it's great, to just be at home, be able to go out on a balcony, get some fresh air if I want, and eat the food that I would like to eat.
For the life of me, I don't understand why the authorities aren't telling us the truth of what's going on there. It's like a quarantine facility. It is not a hotel under construction or under renovation. So I can't understand the lack of transparency. Dray, I want to thank you so much for your time, and good luck in your quarantine period at your condo, sir.
Let my people go, man. Let them go, because I love them. All right.
Okay. Thank you so much.
And I love all of you watching. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Bye-bye. Are you sick and tired of being told by governments and bureaucrats to keep your business closed? Well, if so, please reach out to us at iwillopen.com. That's iwillopen.com. Tell us your story, and I'll make sure the whole world knows about it.